Hey guys, Dezpulse here, bringing you another Hunter video here in World of Warcraft. Just a few days before Legion, I just kind of wanted to pump this video out. I switched up my spec to Marksman, and I think I found some really cool stuff I want to share with you. And the reason I want to share this is like 2 days before Legion comes out is because I think what I'm about to show you is still going to be viable in Legion. Obviously, I still can't show you the honor talents because we're still at 100 2 days before Legion comes out. But I think that the regular talents here, the leveling talents, are going to remain the same. So let's jump right into this and we'll talk about this. Alright, so jumping right into the talents over here, I went with Careful Aim. Aim Shot, Arcane Shot, Mark Shot, and Multi-Shot have a 20% increased critical strike chance against targets above 80% health, and those critical strikes deal an additional 30% damage over 8 seconds. I know the argument here is obviously Lone Wolf with 18% damage, but the way I play, what I found here is that the 18% damage is nice, but when you take into account that your pet's doing quite a bit of damage, it really cuts into that 18%. Not to mention, you absolutely, in PvP battlegrounds, and probably Arena too, you need Roar of Sacrifice. I mean, your pet takes the damage for you. It's not really like a bubble if you want to think about it like that, but your pet takes the damage, and you know the 18% damage doesn't really do any damage mitigation. Steady focus isn't really worth talking about. So for overall damage, especially beginning burst, I go with Careful Aim. In the next tier here, level 30 talents, I went with Black Arrow, and I know that this is more of a PvE talent because it summons the Dark Minion to taunt and everything. Most people do go Lock and Load here. The problem is, when I was doing Battlegrounds, I found Lock and Load didn't really proc my Aim Shot very much, and when it did, Aim Shot doesn't really do as much damage. Black Arrow, you can use a lot more frequently. It still does terrific dot damage, and it's only over 8 seconds, so I usually open up with the Black Arrow just to put the dot on somebody. And damage-wise, I really found in Battlegrounds that Black Arrow was, at least for me, the way to go. True Aim isn't... we're not going to talk about True Aim here. And you notice here at the bottom I haven't gone Sidewinders. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. I know most people do go Sidewinders. But with Black Arrow at the level 30 tier, Piercing Shot makes a lot more sense, and I'll explain why. Post Haste in this tier doesn't really matter which one you go, except for don't go Dash. Don't ever go Dash. Far Strider is good. I went Post Haste. Reason, again, in Battlegrounds, it frees you from all moving pairing effects and increases your movement speed. I can't count the number of times that I've disengaged out of movement and pairing effects and I've gotten away because of the increased movement speed and just kiting people, especially if you get to bind them with Binding Shot. It's great. In the level 60 tier here, Explosive Shot is really fun. It fires a very slow moving arrow, but it requires a lot of management. So you fire the arrow, it's moving kind of slowly towards the target, and you've got to click the button again in order to explode the arrow. Otherwise, it's just going to go through them, past them, and not do any damage. PvE talent, probably much better, because you're much more focused on one target or a group of targets. Not so much for PvP, although it does do good damage if you have that kind of micromanagement skills here. Sentinel, it's not very useful, at least right now in PvP. I went for Patient Sniper. This, I think, is the best to go, and it really improves your damage on your Mark Shot, which is the reason why we have it. I pretty much never use Aim Shot. It's on my bar because there's only really 4 talents to use here, so why not keep it on there? Binding Shot, obviously, for this tier. Wyvern Sting is okay. I mean, Binding Shot is way more useful, in my opinion, because you're trying to get away from somebody while doing damage to them, trying to kite them, and you can't do that with Wyvern Sting. For the level 90 tier here, I went with Barrage. I was using Volley for a little bit now. Volley used to be in the game. It used to just be like an AoE move, like kind of like Ring of Fire is, or Rain of Fire, sorry, for a Warlock. So now it's every time you right click, it just casts a volley. Let me show you what this looks like. So it's like an aura almost. You have to turn it on, and every time you do right click damage, you do your auto attack. Basically, the volley comes down. It is very good situationally in certain battlegrounds when the enemies are going to be very grouped up. But typically, I found Barrage on the 20-second cooldown. It's still better. I mean, for burst, it's way better. Go with barrage in this tier. This is just my opinion. You know, at the end of the day, you do what you like, what works for you. Volley was very fun to use, especially in tight maps like Eye of the Storm, trying to take the bridge. But barrage overall is better for damage output. Now the level 100 tier, perhaps the most, I guess, controversial in terms of Sidewinders or Piercing Shot. I don't see very many people using Piercing Shot, and I think that's because they're not fully aware or they don't want to, I should say, maybe use it to its full potential. Sidewinders is very good. Again, Eye of the Storm maps where people are close together, Sidewinders is very good. You can use it more frequently, and it probably will lead to more damage in most cases. However, I go Piercing Shot because you're not playing Eye of the Storm every single game. And it's a very powerful shot. You want to basically either open with this or finish with this, but either way you want to try to have full focus, which really isn't hard to do. Because again, I like having Arcane Shot. I love spamming Arcane Shot. Not the highest damage move in the world, but it pretty much keeps you at full focus most of the time. So Piercing Shot does a lot of damage. It does damage based on how much focus you have. And the macro I use for this is one of the reasons why I picked this. And I'm going to show you the macro right now. If you don't agree with me right now picking Piercing Shot over Sidewinders, check out this macro and you actually might just change your mind. So this is my macro for Piercing Shot. Basically, what this macro does here, /cast target equals equals mouse over. I'll put the macro. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'll put it in the description. So basically, what this does with my Piercing Shot is, if I have a target, but I want to hit that target, I see this PvP training dummy over here is at low health, but I have this guy over here targeted. If I want to hit that guy, I can hit him through, because it's Piercing Shot. The angle is kind of difficult here. Let's try to go somewhere else. Okay, I'll show you there. See that terrain? I put my mouse over the training dummy, and I hit my Piercing Shot, and it will go through both of them just with the mouse over, and probably get the killing blow if this guy is at low health and I have full focus. That is why the macro is good. I'm going to post the macro in the description. If you have someone targeted and your mouse over isn't over anybody, the Piercing Shot will hit your target. However, if you have a target, but you see the guy over here is at low health, you just put your mouse over him, you hit the Piercing Shot, and like you just saw, it'll hit both targets. Might even get a killing blow on this guy here if it's low enough. That's why I use Piercing Shot. The damage potential is just as, if not better than Sidewinders, I find, in most situations. So the next thing I want to talk to you guys about here is my macros. So the macros on Marksman Hunter, they are very important. So what I'm going to do here is just show you a few of them. One thing here, I talked about Roar of Sacrifice, absolutely imperative and important for PvP in my opinion, why I have the pet to start with. So it makes your pet take damage. However, you need to target something in order, like right now I have this bound here. So basically you kind of need a macro for it. /cast @player Roar of Sacrifice. This basically automatically targets you. You need to have a target in order to use Roar of Sacrifice. You can't just click the button and it automatically go on you. You have to click someone on your team, or you have to click yourself. And obviously, you know, when you're PvP, you're not going to go up here, click your portrait, and then cast it, right? So we have a macro for it. This macro basically automatically targets you and casts Roar of Sacrifice. And I even attached cast Mend Pet here, /cast Mend Pet, because obviously when your pet's taking the damage, you're going to want to do that. So there you go. Roar of Sacrifice is on me. Mend Pet is on there. So the pet's taking the damage for me now, which is amazing. And it's also getting healed. And it just helps it survive longer and take damage, more damage, which only helps me in the end. So that's great to have. This here is probably one of my favorite macros here. I got to find it. Sorry. Countershot. Countershot that interrupts spell casting. Again, the exact same macro as Piercing Shot. Why? For the same reason. If I'm attacking somebody here and I see a healer's down here about to cast a heal, all I have to do is move my mouse over the healer and cast it. And there it is. It interrupts his spell casting right there while I'm attacking this guy, and maybe I'd be able to get a Piercing Shot off and finish him off, or a barrage and finish him off. So again, same macro, different talent, incredibly useful macro. I really recommend looking where you can use these. I mean, this macro is pretty much imperative. You need the Countershot macro here. I'll put it in the description as well. And the last macro I have here, other than my healing macro, of course, which I use on almost all my characters, is the True Shot macro. So my True Shot macro basically uses True Shot and Blood Fury. Very simple. Obviously, I'm an orc, so I have to utilize my racial talent, Blood Fury. Otherwise, I guess you really wouldn't, unless you want to put it to an agility potion. True Shot by itself is basically how you would start your burst. I personally start off just for a rotation. I'll pop my True Shot macro, Blood Fury and True Shot. Then I'll go into a barrage. If it's going to be an elongated fight, I might even use Piercing Shot because I'll have pretty much full focus. And put my Black Arrow for the dot, and I'll just keep lacing them with arcane shots, and I'll get procs of other things. Mark Shot especially. You got to use Mark Shot every time it's up. It's a pretty strong move. So that's pretty much it for the macros here. Hope you guys like the macros. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some footage, actually a Warsong Gulch. I might fast forward through a few of the slower parts. But it was a very good game in my opinion. And also, actually, one thing I want to talk about before I do that is the type of pet you choose. Why I have the scorpion here, and there are other pets that have it. There might be a bird or something that has it, but I use the scorpion. It's a rare spawn. That's why I love the scorpion. But the talent you want to look for here is Deadly Sting. Deadly Sting applies mortal wounds to the target, and that reduces healing by 25%. I've researched this. It does reduce the healing by 25%, just like wounding poison on a rogue. That's why I don't take Lone Wolf. The second huge reason I don't take Lone Wolf, other than the Roar of Sacrifice, is to have a scorpion or a pet, any pet that has mortal wounds on it. That reduction in healing makes the difference so much. Believe me, guys, try it out if you haven't. It's amazing. So I'm going to show you guys how this spec pans out in PvP. I'm not going to be talking through the whole thing. I'm going to play some music here, and I hope you guys enjoy this Warsong Gulch. I'm going to try to fast forward through the slow parts. And please hit that subscribe button if you liked the video. Hit the like button. Share this video with your friends and everybody. And until the next time, guys, I'll see you in the next video.